Thank you, good morning. And I thought you might have had a very intense day yesterday and a very nice evening, so I'll start a little bit more lightweighted, hoping to share with you some inspiration ideas on what's happening generically in the area of AI. So this is a wake-up session. We are not yet going deep in tech. That's the sessions which are going to follow. So let's kick it off with some calibration between us to use the same wording. So look, Microsoft in 9 days is turning 50. And in these 50 years, we helped to shape 4 key platform shifts, which was client server, PC on every desk, the rise of the internet, the move to the mobile and cloud business, and now we are for 2 years in the area of AI. And within and you can basically match these phases with the maturity stage of each company in Germany. Some, from an IT perspective, are still in the, let's say, IT of the 90s, and some are already showcasing how the world of AI, autonomous agents, etc., is going to look like for the majority of companies in 2 or 3 years from now. The funny thing is everybody needs to go through this journey. You can accelerate on these first 4 steps. You can't accelerate on the AI topic because it takes some time to get your teams, all employees ready to understand how to use it and how to prompt. So when we look at the value of AI, we meanwhile have hundreds of thousands of customers using AI. We found out that there's a pattern. So how can you define what's important to land successfully artificial intelligence in your company? And one helpful way on how to structure is looking at these 5 pillars, which is organization culture, business strategy, applied AI experience, governance, and technology. Let me give you some examples to make it more tangible. And when it's about organization culture, and you are passionate to land AI in your company, the first question is, do you have a defined operating model, and do you have top-down support? So even for Copilot for M365, we found out if the board member, if the CEO is using it and showcasing and demonstrating the benefits, it accelerates big time the adoption because it's a symbol, it's a signal for all employees, so not to be underestimated. And this is, by the way, a general challenge because none of today's CEOs have ever had skilling or education in university, what you can do with large language models in the year 2025. Yeah? So it's a new topic for everybody, and it's not that easy to ensure that everybody is able to evaluate what's the benefit and value of AI and what are the costs. Yeah, there's a lot of AI washing, a lot of confusion in the market, so having a top-down support is crucially important. Business strategy. This is all about outcomes. Yeah, we saw many AI projects starting with a lot of enthusiasm and flushed by the capabilities of the technology, and that's all true. We never had, all of us are privileged to live in this time where we have a technology at our fingertips, which nobody before had it. And so it can be a personal career booster. It can be a key differentiator for customers. It can make you outperform the competition. And then it's new technology. So you have all ingredients to have some blue-eyed enthusiasts which simply start implementing without a clear return on invest, and that's not good. And on the other side, you have a lot of people with anxiety. Oh my God, is it really safe? Can I use it? What does it mean? It's a new topic, I need to learn it. That's the other part of the spectrum, also not good. And so the truth is in the middle. And therefore, it's really important to be grounded when you think about AI. What's the return on invest? Is it measurable? And what's really the input, the costs or time you need to invest? Applied AI experience. Do your people have diverse experiences and skills with AI? So for sure you will learn, yeah? Each of us. Is there anybody who has never used GPT? Sorry, I should have asked the other way around. No. But actually, everybody of us, meanwhile, has experience in at least lightweighted experiences in how to use it. And by the way, that's for your tech departments in your company, it's a big challenge because we found out that 79% of all white-collar workers are using AI tools outside of the IT, let's say IT governance, privacy, and security, which is a huge challenge. I give you the worst case example. I hear it within Microsoft. So guess what? We are a public company. And Satya is really clear on some principles. He's going to share our earnings and not anybody else. So what happened? One employee of ours, and in Germany, just to give you a reference, Germany is an important contributor to the all-up Microsoft revenue. Meaning, if we release the data about how Germany is doing, it can impact share prices. And so one employee had a fantastic idea, I think, basically saying, hey, I take our earnings and I put it into a Gen AI tool which generates a news speech like Tagesschau or some of the prime media. Yeah? And so what she did, she took our earnings, gave it to some Chinese third-party AI tool to generate a speech on our earnings. And that's happening on a daily basis in all of your companies. It might not be that bad, but it's happening that people use it. And the good thing is they're building capabilities. The bad thing is, of course, it's a must not do because you're sharing data your company signed that you're not going to share it from company secrets to customer data. So when you start the skilling journey for your employees, it's important that you structure that and that you make sure that those who are skilled help others to learn. Then AI governance, super important topic. What we see right now is many customers are piloting, evaluating, and the challenge is it's one use case by the other. So those who are at the forefront, they have an AI Center of Excellence. The AI Center of Excellence is a virtual team or a solid team combining multiple disciplines like, hey, you need somebody who's able to assess a return on investment. You need somebody who's able to do the regulatory and compliance checks, workers' council, CISO, etc. You need somebody who's able to evaluate how much effort do you need to implement it. And if you bring those disciplines together, you basically are creating an AI factory. And that's where you can accelerate big time the use of AI. So even if you think about proMX, and I love your engagement on agents, that's a new topic. So how do you ensure that you adapt it to your needs based on the new agent capabilities? And that's if you could go there one by one, that's super. The best have a factory. And then it's of course you need to be grounded in a technology strategy. That's one of the topics where most companies are struggling to accelerate because it's you need to have an AI-ready infrastructure and data architecture. Otherwise, you will be slower than your competition. Yeah? One of the key challenges is, and we also had it at Microsoft some years ago, we had our data organized in silos. Yeah? So we had data for LinkedIn, for Nose, for GitHub, for different Microsoft departments. But when you think about AI and AI use cases, it's about leveraging your company data. You have accessible from Dynamics to SAP data sources to Copilot Graph. So the question you can ask yourself for your department, who is in charge of your data strategy across silos? And so for us, it became our CFO, interesting enough, because there was nobody. And that's a challenge in many companies, because when you then start normalizing data, bring it together, it's not doable in 2 to 3 months. And at the moment, it's a lot about. Hey, by the way, this is meant to be a dialogue. So if there's anything unclear, boring, give me a signal so that that we really make it you and it. So another way on how to structure, yeah, if you think about how to land AI across your own, beyond your own department, there's a nice way on how to structure it. Looking at how can you enrich with AI employee experience, make it richer, make it most attractive for young talent. So take the burden of work they don't want to do away from them. That's a big topic. Reinvent customer engagement. That's everything which is from service to marketing and sales. Reshape business processes and bend the curve of innovation. Bend the curve of innovation, just to share one use case. I was most impressed 3 weeks ago when I saw that. I'll share it later when I ensure that we have the basis for that. So then you can decide on those 4 principles. How are you going to approach it? Do you use Copilot as it comes as a service with our solutions? Or are you building own AI solutions? And of course, all needs to be grounded in a cybersecurity foundation. So it's a big topic. And it's not easy to catch up with all the innovation. And I brought you one slide which is only supposed to demonstrate the speed of innovation. So it's all what I want to achieve is that you're kind of stunned. Oh my God, that's a lot. I can't read it. Yeah, so it's not about the content, but you see key announcements only from Microsoft on the AI journey, and that's a new dimension. We see that AI has a higher productivity impact than any other technology before, but for all of us, it's a key challenge to understand, hey, is this new capability important for me or not? Do I need to understand it? And what's really the value? I give you 2 or 3 examples from the last, I think 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah? So an agent is basically somebody who's supporting you like a co-pilot in a structured way. We have Copilot Studio as a platform to build agents. Yeah? The fantastic thing about this, the fantastic improvement is in the past, you needed real developers to build tools. With AI, the development language is natural language. And that's realized in Copilot Studio, so that everybody, by speaking to the cool tool, can generate apps and agents. And what we announced is, for example, an autonomous deep research agent. And so today, when you think about your sales colleagues, taking it as an example, when I prepare for a customer meeting today, I have a half-page prompt. And this prompt is basically asking, hey, I'm meeting the customer Mercedes, and please share with me, what are the insights of the last earnings, provide me with a SWOT analysis on, hey, how can Mercedes outperform the Chinese manufacturers and the other way around, and help me to understand key leadership changes based on LinkedIn public data, etc., etc. So it's a kind of list, prepare me for all the insights, which helps me to better engage with my customer when I speak from a Microsoft perspective with the customer. And that's what basically everybody did. And learning from that, we built an agent, the sales agent, which is now doing that as part of Dynamics. Yes, you have an agent, and it's so powerful that it can, let's take another example, can not only do what I just shared, but it can also think about, let's see this about a small business. It can read your emails, based on your email, generate a proposal, and even ensure the entire transaction. So that's more relevant for, let's say, a retail business, but that's what you can already do. You have it as part of your solution, as part of Dynamics, and that's how you can differentiate. So, but the Uber point I wanted to make, look, we launched new agents for security. We have deep research agents, which help you to go much deeper into any analysis you want to do. We have sales agents, and that's only and Copilot Studio is in there, just to close on that. This morning I learned only in the last 2 to 3 months, the number of companies using it, build agents, increased from 100,000 to 160,000. And only in these 3 months, 400,000 agents have been built at enterprises and small and medium businesses globally. Our assumption is that we see an equal number of agents in your companies as Excel sheets. And so it's really a mind shift. Coming back to the topic, hey, how well do you feel educated on that? And how do you keep up? So what are we doing to help you and to support you on the process to leverage technology to your competitive advantage? And this starts with infrastructure. That's not a secret, we're investing heavily in building infrastructure. It's roughly 80 billion by year. It's 3 billion we're investing in Germany. And it's also for us a super important topic in the sense of not being easy, because we want to provide you with the cheapest infrastructure for AI with the highest performance. And at the moment, we see a development of AI performance of double performance every 6 months, which is crazy if you think about it. Yeah? And we saw a decrease of 90% of the costs. And this is driven partly by software and partly driven by new hardware. But the new hardware, take the last NVIDIA announcement, these chips are 30 times more powerful than today's generation. It's going to be launched next year, but it requires more energy, which means totally different cooling requirements for the data centers. So we had to cancel some projects because we need to rebuild and to really ensure that the cooling is able to manage the new demands of these chips. So it's a big topic, but the beauty is, oh sorry, I wanted to show you the slide. But the beauty is that you can focus on using agents or AI immediately, independent of being a large global enterprise or a startup founder. Everybody has access to the same technology. So it's on each and everybody of you how to leverage it. So the other way we want to support you is, that's our all-up Copilot and AI stack, and Dynamics is a very important part of it. What you see is basically the infrastructure I mentioned. It's the data and analytics platform. We learned that it takes too long to support you finding the right data you want to use for AI use cases. So we build tools which help you to access the data independent on where they are. And that's, by the way, a super important topic if you engage that area to ensure that you're the data owner. At the moment, we see many companies claiming IP for data, and it defines how you will be able to use them in the future. Then Azure AI Foundry, that's a completely new layer which helps you to innovate and build your tools faster. One of the challenges many customers face is, oh my God, which model do I want to use to build my solution? So I want to build a training avatar for skilling. Yeah? So is it better to use Mistral or DeepSeek, or is it Azure OpenAI O1 or O1 or 3 Mini? And Azure AI Foundry helps you to define or to look for the tools for the large language models which is best suited for your needs. So if you're an insurance company, you can, for example, upload a photo of a car in an accident. That I met you, it's all about cars. And then you can see which tool is best able in the capability of picture to text, so that you can analyze these quickly. And then what's super important is this right circle here. And sorry to say, and of course, we want to provide you with the best developer tools, from GitHub to Vision Studio to Copilot Studio, to develop these AI use cases faster than everybody else can. At the moment, what do you think? Microsoft, of course, we have a large engineering department. What do you think? What's the percentage of lines of codes which is generated by GitHub Copilot? So not written by a developer, but the developer is telling, hey, I want to optimize my process, write the code. Very simplified. What do you think? 70? 80. Oh, okay. We need to, okay. Thank you for the new challenge. We are not yet there. Challenge accepted. We are 30%. Think about it. We have, I don't know exactly, more than 100,000 developers. Think about the productivity increase we have by being able to auto-generate so much. So, which is fantastic for companies like proMX, and it's fantastic for you because you can innovate faster. Well, it also comes with the challenge I already shared. How do you keep up with innovation? So, but that's the new reality, and the speed of innovation is going to accelerate even further. And to cover the right circle here, this is about our Microsoft Responsible AI principles. So that's a big topic. How do you regulate AI? How do you make sure that it's not misused? So one of the common topics you will likely be aware of is deepfake videos. So I could ask my team to use a recording of Peter Linke to tell his team to wire me personally the next 10 euro. And it's hard for them to understand that this is a fake video and not a real one. So there's the same benefits we as software providers like Microsoft or proMX have from these tools. It's also available for the cyber criminals. And so you see a massive increase in their productivity as well. And so it's super important to be grounded on, hey, how do we make sure that, that everything we do on AI is secure, fair, compliant, matches any regulatory requirement, and is transparent. And that's when you build, that's where we want to differentiate, that your developers don't need to care about these things, but they are built in. Okay, making it a little bit more tangible, yeah? Some examples, going away from slideware to some short videos. I shared at the beginning that there's a season, we call it season 1, 2, 3, 4, readiness on AI use cases. Season 1 is, for example, when you were prompting in Copilot, hey, collect all information based on my email and chat, and generate me a proposal, a pitch, and how to ask my manager for a salary increase. That's one of the trending prompts at each fiscal year end at Microsoft. But that's a season 1 example. Season 2 is agents or voice. And I brought you a little video to show you something we're going to release in Teams in the near future. Just to show you how voice and the performance of the infrastructure I just mentioned is changing capabilities.
Exciting new way to empower customers with connection and overcoming barriers to communication. Video dubbing. Y no uno o dos, sino en muchos idiomas es traducción instantánea, en vivo y automáticaでやhacia múltiples idiomas、そしてそれはあなた自身の声です。ビデオダビングはとりわけ当社の最新のイノベーションです。y compris 5 copilotes vides pour augmenter la productivité, la créativité et la collaboration. Fabric or Analytics Dashna Barhani or Nai Anterdrushti ke saath. Lagat kam karne ke liye, 客户驾驶安全，因此安全和 IT 专业人员可以专注于他们的战略优先事项。And what's really exciting here is we're democratizing AI for everyone.
That's crazy. It's so cool. I have it available on my desk since yesterday, and I used it in a meeting, and I need to admit, I'm not a native English speaker. And sometimes I'm struggling because I know that Peter just was returning from India. I'm struggling to understand some of my Indian colleagues if they really speed up. And I used it. Worked really well. And it's really funny because you see the person, your colleague in India, speaking in his voice in German. But it's, think about it. There are many of you are globally active companies. So you can integrate it not only internally, but also in every, again, customer interaction, yeah, in your sales processes, marketing. Think about services. Yeah, you have your service expert here in Germany. He doesn't need to travel. The entire challenge of language barriers we had is now technology is not any longer the limit. And the limit is really our own creativity, and that's going to be part of Teams. But that's of course also something you can build in whatever you're doing to build based on the proMX solution. And let's go to the next example. And to give you some context, what might be interesting for you to observe. When you think about the journey of the large language models, almost 2.5 years ago, GPT was launched. GPT was launched as a text-to-text model. Yeah, so the big innovation was basically put in a question in natural language and you received a result in natural language based on the trained data, and the results were so stunning that this was the fastest adapted technology ever. Then in a later version, the models became multi-model, meaning you can input speech and you can ask to get a picture or a video as the output. Or the other way around, you can put in a picture or a video and you can ask for text. So that's with an Azure OpenAI, that's possible. The question is, what can you do out of these, based on these technical advancements for the use cases you can realize? And you're going to see a service call. The colleague is calling a customer, and responding is an agent in human voice. Observe, please have a look at the voice quality. And then think about it's an autonomous agent, so how much the agent is able to manage. So, enjoy.
Show you how voice-enabled AI is going to change the way we do things. I'm trying to get some support here, but the chat is just not doing it for me. So let's see if I can get them to call. Pretty cool. Hey, what's going on?
Hi, Seth. It's great to talk with you. How can I assist you today?
Oh, I think you know.
I see you want to use your older Motorola flip phone alongside your new Quantum phone. Unfortunately, it's usually not possible to use two devices on a single account.
I did not know that. That's making me very upset. Obviously, I'll use a new phone, but what can you do to make it right?
I'm sorry for the inconvenience, Seth. Since you'll be using the new phone, I can add a discount to your next month's service bill to make up for this. Does that sound okay?
That's awesome. Would you do that and maybe finish with a joke since you've been so nice?
Absolutely. I've added a discount to your next month's service bill. And here's a tech joke for you. Why was the smartphone wearing glasses? Because it lost its contact.
All right, thanks. See you later.
The resolution. And I'll follow up in a few days to ensure everything's sorted out. If you need anything else, feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Notice how VoiceMode was able to take care of my problem in a personable and amazing way. And that's what VoiceMode is going to do for us. Thank you so much.
What you've seen, he focused on the voice mode. Isn't that super impressive? It's a combination of models so that you get really human voice and being recognized as human. Yeah, you're not talking to a robot. You see that the agent proposed a solution based on the challenge. Thank you so much. The agent proposed a solution, and that it's even following up. So the agent is updating all data in Dynamics which are required. The customer conversation is logged, and the decision is logged, the delivery of them is initiated. So that's all automated. And for the user, it's a totally different service quality. Yeah, if you think about, I was updating my credit card data last week, and I still went into a scenario where it was, hey, if you have a query number, if you want to update your address data, please select 2. And then that's kind of really old school if you see this scenario. Yeah? And that's what I mean when we say you can differentiate by leveraging AI. And the real benefit of this use case is 7x24 service, higher quality, all languages of this world, process much more efficient, faster, so cost savings, and you can even do an integrated and automated upsell. Now think about if company A is offering that and competitor B not, it's a no-brainer what's going to happen from a market share perspective. And so, because I'm sure you're going to see many use cases on AI, I wanted to share here some internal Microsoft use case and shortly explain. And again, please, if you have any question, ask. So let's start with customer support, because we just had a support scenario. So here, reported, so I won't tell everything, but we have a large service and support organization, 44,000 people, with sometimes very emotional requests. Yeah, the most emotional ones come from Xbox users who are not able to purchase the new sport. It's worse than if Azure has a problem. Yeah, so but whatever customer challenges, it needs to be resolved super fast. What we did is we leveraged our knowledge bases. We built in, of course, machine learning based agents. And by this, we had been able to reduce our resolving time for solution by 12%, increase our customer satisfaction significantly, and not most importantly, but also important, we were able to reduce costs by almost 20%. Now, think about it, 20% of an entire OPEX of an organization, that's big. And at a higher customer rate, and by the way, also happier employees, because in support it's really important that you use those highly skilled people not for managing processes, updating data. You don't want the customer to explain the third time what the challenge is. You want to get rid of all this noise in the process, and that's what we achieved. So it's 20% reduction. And the other interesting insight realized in only 6 months. And that's kind of crazy. If you think in former times it would have taken 3, 4, 5 years to build these projects. Now with the tools, with the platform I mentioned, much easier. Sales conversion. That's interesting, because my team was customer zero at Microsoft, so the first one to use these tools. And what we achieved in average was this 9.4% higher revenue by seller. To share some more insights, yeah, what we figured out is, and this started with only M365 Copilot, those sellers who used really Copilot on more than 50% of their working days, they achieved up to 20% increase. And why is that? Because they entered customer meetings better prepared. They asked for, hey, what's the next best advisory I can give to the customer? They can ask for any readiness support. Oh, I'm not really sure on how our ESIF process is working internally to help customer projects being funded. And that's, that's all provided now by tools. And for me as responsible person for that team, it's of course big. Yeah, I can increase my revenue with the existing headcount with higher employee satisfaction. Yeah, that's kind of a dream comes true. Then on marketing, it's there's 2 drivers. One is the interaction with customers on our website. So if you go to the Azure website, you will have a classical bot. But the bot is now, again, human language and has more background data, can support you much more efficient than in the past. And the other way is with Gen AI models, we can do a better fine-tuning on which marketing signals are important. What do I mean by marketing signals? So when a customer goes on our website and gives an opt-in on a white paper, yeah, I want to read how agents in the proMX landscape are going to drive business value, and then the customer in our internal ranking gets some points, yeah, 10 points. And then the customer is attending this event, another 10 points. And then if we would know, and then whatever, yeah. But when the customer reaches 50 points, our salespeople are supposed to call the customer, because then we have a real interest, and our salespeople are much more efficient. And the conversion rate increased by 21%, only by being able to provide our people with better income. And then HR, that's an easy example, easy to realize. When you start implementing Copilot use cases, it's a platform, and then you can decide what you want to do out of it. One approach how you can excite your employees is look for the most challenging processes which are really annoying your people. And in Microsoft itself, it's travel expenses. Making that compliant, it's nothing people like. If they are doing it wrong, it's serious. Compliance, we are black and white. So if you're not doing a compliant team expense, that has serious consequences at the end. So, of course, we have a SharePoint site with all the regulations. And this bot is basically built, or this agent, in 2 minutes, where you say, hey, provide help for employees who are not sure on the correctness of their T&E expenses. And then that's it. Realize the employee is happy, much easier. So let's come to the end to allow some time for Q&A. Meanwhile, there's, as mentioned initially, hundreds of thousands of use cases, from process optimization, cross-industry, from small companies to large enterprises, with proven return on invest. At the beginning, 2 years ago, it was kind of adventure and innovation pilots for everybody. Meanwhile, there's common knowledge on what are the top use cases for your department, which one you should investigate, and which one haven't proven to be successful, which is even more important. In general, you can say that that's the metric here at the end. In general, you have a return of 3.7 euro dollar by every dollar you invest. Across all use cases, we asked our customer to share their experience. So that's better than everything else. 65% of organizations using and deriving business from Gen AI in 2024. That's an indicator for the adoption speed of AI. Think about it. Last year, end of last year, 64% of all companies used general AI. And so you will see that in 1 or 2 years from now, it will feel really strange if you don't use AI. It's comparable to, think of the other platform shift, when the mobile phone came, and some of you might have been traveling here by plane. You are now really used to take your phone and in the check-in process, showing the barcode and entry. Just to mention, you're the only airline who's doing that on paper, asking you to send you the ticket or whatever, old school. The same you will see in AI. Every process, every customer interaction, every employee will be supported and enhanced by AI at all companies. 30 minutes saving per day for Copilot, and that was 1 year ago, and 75% of knowledge workers using it. And to close, I want to close how I basically started. What you see here on this slide is the relation between platform new technology and the GDP impact globally. So to give you an example, in the year 1400, 2030, there was the invention of the printing press here in Germany, and this allowed people to democratize knowledge. So because you were able to print knowledge, so more people could read. So the country, guess which country adopted the printing press fastest? It was not Germany. So the country, I didn't know, sorry, stupid question. So the country which adopted it the fastest was the Netherlands. What you see is in the 50 years after the invention of the printing press, at the largest adoption, the GDP of Netherlands grew 100% faster than the GDP of the rest of all European areas. And that pattern you can see by all platform shifts you see here, from steam engine to PCs, internet, smartphone and cloud. And the largest impact we ever had and we've ever seen is the era of AI. And that's what I mean by this privilege, to be able to see and look what can each of you in a private life, in your business profession can do to leverage that. Nobody, it's so much, it's kind of exploring new countries. It's an adventurous journey. And so I close here and wish you the best possible fun in enjoying this journey. So, thank you. Eight minutes for Q&A, if you have any questions.
Yes, exactly. Since Oliver has a busy schedule, we recommend to ask your questions now, because this is your only chance today.
Anything you ever wanted to know about AI and Microsoft in general? Bless you.
How do you keep track and measure the quality of context?
Keep track with innovation.
The context. So when working with AI, you're creating context. Some contexts are better than others. How
Yes.
do you track that?
Yeah, so it's that's a big one, yeah, because what do you generalize that, yeah? So the quality of the AI support you get by the tools is highly dependent on the models you use and the training data which are used within these models. What's provided by Azure OpenAI is fantastic, but it's not meeting our quality criteria for some of the use cases you see here. So it's what we are doing and what we see as a pattern in the industry as well. For key relevant data, you build your own models based on your own data. And then you can combine these models with Azure OpenAI. So you take the language, the logic, the research capabilities of the large general models, and for specific use cases or where you want to be really 100% grounded on data quality, you build your own ones, because that's also something we don't want to share with anybody else. Yeah, so here you have both running on Azure, and then you build the applications on it, and then you need to keep the database updated. But it's a really good question. I wanted to share. I forgot to share one of the most impressive examples I saw that 3 weeks ago. On innovation and agents, just in case. Who's in the manufacturing industry, automotive manufacturing? Okay, some. So there's a fantastic use case. Company, 12,000 employees. They had a challenge of innovation management. Always limited in resources, because you need PhD level people to help drive these new innovations. You need experts from in this case, from process, materials, etc., etc. And this company was challenged by the speed of innovation in China. So they were thinking about, how can I automate and optimize my innovation process, coming to new product ideas in my company. And what they built is a multi-agent system. And that's the most sophisticated case I came across. That's why I wanted to share it. So what they did is they built a first agent, which is relatively easy, collecting ideas from the teams, from the experts. Yeah? So asking everybody, hey, how can we differentiate in the future? The second agent, trained on an own model, is then taking these ideas and is asked to hallucinate to the best possible, yeah? Come up with new creative ideas. And the second agent is trained not only by the company legacy data, but also by what's happening in the competition, market trends, etc. But very industry specific, not generally. And then the third agent takes these ideas, and this third agent is trained, again on an own dedicated model, on all regulation and compliance requirements globally, because that company is operating globally, and that's of course, in Germany we know how complex it can be, but it's a complex topic, and usually a topic engineers are not that familiar with. So the third agent does a sanity check if all proposals can really be realized from a compliance and regulatory perspective. The fourth one is then again, dedicated model, is optimized to evaluate the business impact for the company. So they get an idea of, hey, if we launch a new product, what could be the incremental revenue we can achieve with this product. And the agent number 5, the last one, is building test and rollout plans. So if you design for that, you already know roughly, hey, who needs to do what. And this company had roughly 60 people invested in this innovation process. Now they have a real innovation factory because they are not any longer dependent of number of people or education. They have more knowledge, more experts based on the agents and models they built by themselves. And they are much faster because they can evaluate and assess new ideas in seconds. And this process took them 6 to 12 months in the past. Now think again about, hey, how that will help them to outperform competition because they're simply much faster. That one I still owe you. Any other question?
One question from my side. The very, very special question, I would say. The voice AI you showed.
Yeah.
It's brilliant translation in every language. Will it also handle some near dialects, or for example, from UK or even from
Just say my name. It's a really good question. Well, I don't know. What I checked is Austrian and Bavarian. That's really working well. And Bavarian can also be, in Bavaria we have 7 different dialects, and there are some like Niederbayerisch, which are even challenging for some Bavarian people. Yeah, so that's really working well. It all depends on, hey, has the dialogue been part of the training data? But it seems they did a tremendous job in not only training whatever 200 languages, but also 2,000 dialects.
What's the delay on the translation there?
That's an interesting one, because in the video you saw 0 delay. In my tests I saw, I didn't measure, but there was a delay. I think less than half a second, but there was a delay. A delay which, because you still hear the original language at the beginning, you need to find how to switch that off, but you still have a little delay between lips and how it's said with what you hear. But based on all the innovation infrastructure and technique, that's going to go away. But at the moment, it's still of course, if if you don't understand, let's say, Japanese, and you have the ability to talk to Japanese people you don't care about, and they're half-second. If it's a classical meeting of your CEO talking to all MPs, have a try, test it out. But that's for sure what I mean by, hey, this will become commodity, and it's really mature as useful.
Will it only be when will it be released? And from the beginning, will that only be in the big languages, or when will the smaller countries like Denmark, for example, be part of it?
Okay, the release date I can't tell.
Oh,
That's always.
But are we talking 3 months, 6 months, a year?
So when you work with Microsoft, just to be an internal insider, yeah. Usually we are really very open and saying, hey, when are we going to release? If the release date is in the 3 to whatever time frame, if it's nearer, you will always get the answer. I can't tell you. I don't know. So it's near.
It's near.
And then, but it's still a question: how fast are we going to roll it out in Teams? It's available from the first day in Azure as a service, but it might take 1 month until every Teams user globally has access. And then that's a very good and important question. I don't know how many languages. It's usually they try. In former times there was always a priority. We first start with one language, then we select the next ones based on size of population, and then we continue. With AI, it's easier, because once you have a model trained on all languages, it does make a difference. So as I was able to check Bavarian and Austria, I think the Danish population is bigger than the Bavarian. Actually, I don't know.
Maybe not.
But I would assume, I personally would be optimistic, but I don't know. Good. With that, I hope, last question.
Yeah, one last question. So do you have a testing circle more or less internally until you roll it out, or do you have some testing cycluses, phases more or less?
That's a good question. If you look at how did our processes change when we launch a new product, because that's for us it's important to be faster than competition. Yeah, 10 years ago we still had Windows Server 2012. We announced the release 3 years prior to the launch date. We did the testing as prior to the release, and then this was a very structured process. At the moment we had, and we need to shorten every test cycle. So we need to launch when it's basically ready, and then it needs to be tested. So you won't believe how pragmatic we became on that one. I can tell you that one of the customer zeros is always Microsoft itself. So we are rolling it out at the moment to all 22,000 employees, which is the last test, if you can release it to customers. And the internal test procedures had been changed and adapted. I can't explain you how they did that. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is automated, by the way. Yeah? So it's that one I can tell you. It's again based on agents, test agents, where we are simulating thousands of users with different languages, different challenges, and those test automatically.
Thanks.
Good. I hope I was able to share some light on the bigger picture before you now deep dive into tech. I hope there was some news for you, and I wish you all the best on your journey with proMX and with AI. Have a great day.